Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. We are here at the Auburn Duesenberg factory in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma with our new friend Doug Prey. Doug, we have an absolutely amazing car to look at.
Now this is a 1937 Cord, model 812, and it's a custom Berline. They made a sedan in two different versions. One was called a Westchester and one is a Beverly. Really, only the difference was the interiors. The interiors were named after Beverly Hills and Westchester, New York or something.
I see.
So the cars are the same, except one's a Westchester and one's a Beverly. But in 37, on Beverly's only, they added a bustle back trunk. So we got more trunk space.
Okay.
So if you see a bustle back, it's always gonna be a Beverly, but without the bustle back, it could be a Beverly too if it was in 36. Then they came out late in 1937 with what they called a custom Beverly. And then this car, which is called a custom Berline. It's spelled B-E-R-L-I-N-E, but it's supposed to pronounce it Berline. It's the same car, but it's a couple inches taller and it's a few inches longer. So it's called a long wheelbase Cord, and it's to give it more headroom. If the average person looks at this and looks at one that's not a custom Beverly, then you're going to think it's the same car. But if you count the number of louvers, they end up with an extra louver, and that's how they made the car taller. So they just lifted the whole car up, and that was to give more headroom and leg room in the car. So they took the same car and just made it slightly bigger.
So is the hood and everything bigger as well?
No, the hood's the same. The extra on the grill. Front fenders are the same, rear fenders are taller, the rear doors are longer. And what is interesting on this car, to a four-door car, they only had a left and right door. So the left front door cut out is the right rear door. And the right front door cut out is the left rear door. So they only had to have one set of tooling for doors, not four sets.
Wow.
And the difference on this one, you can tell that it's a custom is because the door is longer where they cut it out. On the shorter one, it's cut out here because it's a shorter car. But what makes this a Berline is this was built to be chauffeur driven. This is a chauffeur driven car with a division window and what's called a vanity. And they did it in a plain vanity and a deluxe vanity. So this has a division window with a deluxe vanity and a supercharged engine. So this was the most deluxe Cord that Cord ever sold. It had everything Cord had to offer is in this Cord. The highest priced Cord ever made, and this car sold in 1937 for about $2,750. But a new Ford was $450. And so it's Depression era.
Right.
Who's going to be buying expensive cars like this? That's the main reason the three companies went bankrupt was just they were high-end expensive cars and the Depression was going on and it just it didn't work for them. But I found this one. This car was totally dilapidated. It was rusty from halfway the doors down. The engine was out of it, but all the deluxe vanity and everything was there and its original serial numbers. And there's a little emblem on the side by the right door. In fact, I'll show you that. That tells you that it's a long wheelbase car, and there's a little tag down there that says custom on it. And all the custom long wheelbase cars have that little emblem on it, and this car had it. I knew it was the real deal, and I started researching in our archives on how many Berlines, because the Cord built almost 3,000 cars. And I've come up with two different numbers because the Central Body Manufacturing made the bodies and Central was owned by Auburn. And on their record, it says how many of these bodies they made. But then in Cord record, it says this is how many cars they made, and they don't match up. So somewhere around 35 of these were built out of the 3,000 cars. And then when I start looking up serial numbers, I find out that of the 35, and don't quote me exactly on the number because people will start saying, well, that's not really the number, but somewhere around 17 or so were supercharged. They weren't all supercharged. And then only a few of them had the deluxe vanity. So this is, we pinned it down to, of the ones that exist like this, there's 7 of them known to exist. And this is probably the finest one in the world right now.
And you guys just restored this car.
And we restored this car, and it wasn't just restored, we spent 2 years restoring close to 3,000 hours to restore this car back to the quality and the precision that judging standards want and what it was when it was in 1937. So down to every bolt on it, if it was CAD plated with a particular marking on top of the bolt, that's what it goes back with. We don't put a modern bolt or anything that's zinc plated. If the bolt was painted, we painted it. If it was CAD, we CAD it. Everything is out of 1,000 points judging standard on this car. This car got in the very high 900s and got first place at Auburn. Also got first place at Boca Raton Concours, and then won a corporate award at Amelia Island. So we've actually won Amelia Island, Boca Raton, and Auburn with this car. And then it'll go back next year. The reunion was canceled this year because of the COVID, but they're going to have it again this year. So this will go back in for judging, and it will be in a senior class. So we'll get another first place senior. So this is a very, very special car, 1 of 7, and very deluxe. And what really makes it pretty, you know, we talked about how beautiful the dashes are in Cord, but come around and look at the rear deluxe vanity. And what Cord did, and elegant at the time. But something I want to point out too is the interior where the chauffeur was is leather. So it's all leather. But if you go to the rear, it looks just like it, except it's wool broadcloth. So let me take, they've got a policy ring in there. Let me take, oops, some screws there. They were putting a new bumper guard on it, but it's broadcloth, and it's got 2 speakers, it's got an intercom system, it's got glove boxes, it's got handholds, and you can see the roll-up window, the glass to separate from the chauffeur. So you can talk to the chauffeur and tell him to slow down or speed up or turn the heat up or whatever. But it's that vanity is what makes this car so rare and so expensive. This is probably one of the highest priced. It was the highest priced Cord ever sold in the time, and it's probably one of the highest priced Cords today, just because of what it is. And then this is this bustle back trunk that I showed you. If it's a custom Beverly Berline, it will have that on it. And we have another one over there that doesn't have it on it. So
You can kind of see the angle of that truck. The other one just kind of angles straight back, kind of like a slant back,
and that's the regular wheelbase, and this is the long wheelbase. So you can see how similar they are. But we're really proud of this, and so it'll give people a lot of joy from this point on, and we'll keep getting trophies with it, hopefully.
Can we take a peek out of the hood real quick?
Sure. Now, the Supercharged engine we showed you a minute ago is the same engine that would be in this car. It's probably a little dusty under there.
But you can really see the attention to detail that you guys gave this car.
Is as correct as we can possibly make it for judging. So if you see something there, you go, oh, that's not 1937. I guarantee everything you're looking at in there is 1937, down to the color of the woven cloth wire, to fine threads on the bolts that hold the horns on versus coarse threads that the modern ones are, down to every number on the regulator, the coil, the carburetor, the generator, all of the original numbers that those would have had on them back in 1930s. And so they judge all those, even down to the pulley on the generator. They'll put a mirror back there to see if the casting number is the same as what it was born with in 1937. The clamps, the radiator caps, which is Auburn and Cord only, and very special, and they don't exist anymore. So that's Supercharged Cord, 160 horsepower, and it drives as good as it looks. You think you're in a modern car, drive down the highway at 70 miles an hour, and she just drives beautifully.
And you can really see the exhaust on this one since this is a supercharged car.
Yeah, and so that's what it, and so you can see it's functional, and you'll be at a car show and you've just parked the car, and people will go up and, are these real? And you no, don't touch. You want to burn your hand down. They're
Learn real quick that they're real.
And one of the things that's so special, we talked about all the innovations of Core being unibody and low and everything, but the Hideaway headlights is what people nowadays, that's not such a big deal to them. But until Corvette, this was the only car that had Hideaway headlights, and that's where they got the idea. And these roll up and down with the crank.
And it was such a smooth, sleek look.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about this. It's low, no running boards, and just and each one cranked up individually. You have to go to the other side to crank it up, and so they just roll up and roll down. So at night you got them there, and it looks good with the lights up. And then you go back down, and that's just a big cable that you crank. So, Auburn and Cord were innovative back then, and this is probably one of the finest examples of a Cord sedan that exists, if not the finest examples. We're real proud of it.
Well, obviously, they only missed a few points if you were in the high 900s on a 1,000-point
Yeah,
scale.
and it shouldn't have missed those, but judging is judging. But there's even things like when they judge, see how on the firewall this is painted black? Well, they only painted black on light colored cars. And the reason is when the hood is closed, you can see through the louvers, and the black makes it disappear. If it's a black or dark car, you don't see it. But on the white car, you see this white spot looking through there. So from the factory, they painted this half black just to black it out. So we have to do it exactly like they did it then. And so it's about as nice as you can make one. I don't know how you can make one much nicer.
Well, it definitely is a beautiful car, and as we all know, some of that judging gets into perceptions and sometimes opinions and things like that too. But obviously, it's a stunning, stunning car.
Yeah, it's just stunning to drive. I mean, if we had a nicer day, we'd probably go for a drive in this one, but the underside of this car is as nice as the top side of this car, so I don't take it out on the road.
Especially when we had a little rain yesterday. We want to go ahead and go splashing through any puddles in it. So,
because this car is still going to be judged, and so we're going to keep it as pristine. And we got to do a few little details on it before we go back to the show. A few little things that we can upgrade a tiny bit. But this is Cord at its finest.
well, it's a beautiful car, and I really appreciate you taking some time to show it to us. And there again, these cars are so unique, and there's so many awesome features about them that just the opportunity to learn more about them is always great.
Well, it's always fun to share this information. This is what we do all day, every day, but we're kind of hidden back here for all these years. People don't even really know we exist, and I know people enjoy seeing what is actually still going on and what we've been able to keep alive through all these years.
Well, I mean, you are the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. You're still here.
We're the factory.
And you're still servicing, maintaining, providing parts, providing information, full restoration facility. Whether you need repairs or your core transmission worked on or a full restoration, you guys are capable of doing it all.
Right.
And you've got the parts, you've got the books, you've got the manuals, you've got the drawings, because you're the factory.
That's right. Yeah. And so there's not much we can't do here when it comes to an Auburn or Cord. We'll do other cars a bit, but we specialize in Auburn and Cord. But it's so special about us doing an Auburn or Cord versus another restoration shop. When my guys are out here working on a car and they need a particular part, they walk back into the parts bins that have been there since 1936, and they can find the parts. Anybody else restoring one has to locate us, hope we have it, pack it up, ship it to them. They have to wait for it, and my guys are already, they're off on the next thing because we are the
We
factory.
got it off the shelf.
We got it off the shelf. Yeah.
So, super great place, acdfactory.com.
Mm-hmm.
Be sure to check them out. Check out what they've got going on. If you're liking these stories, be sure to get the books that you guys have available about your dad, Glenn Prey, and what he did with this company. So many stories, so much awesome stuff, and can't thank you enough for the time you've taken to share it with us. So hope you guys enjoyed the Berline. Absolutely stunning, amazing car. And if you're on Facebook, please share the video with your friends. Anybody who is a gearhead would love to see this car. Be sure to like the page, check out what we've got going on. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, check out all my other videos. We've done so much cool stuff here. You're gonna wanna check it all out. So, as always, thanks for your time. Thanks for showing us around. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, and this stuff is just so awesome. I love it. And thanks to you guys for stopping by and hanging out with us for a few minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So we'll see you soon on the next video, and stay tuned. There is so much cool stuff from around here that we got more videos coming on. Thanks for watching, everybody.